Well, welcome to another super cool educational repair video from the Goat Shed. Okay, so today is Tuesday, November 15th, 2022, and it's exactly 2 weeks since Spanky and I got back from the USA. Now, you're looking at the title page of our Facebook page there, the Goat Shed EM Pinball Repair Specialists. Sorry about the light shining through there. So what we'd encourage all our viewers to do is sign up to join that Facebook page. That's where we give all our technical help. And not only ourselves do it, but people from all around the world. We've got some very good people that can help you out. So there's 3 simple questions you've got to answer to join that group. And Spanky won't admit you unless you answer those 3 simple questions. And they are, what is your favourite EM pinball game? What part of the world do you live in? Or if you're in the USA, what state or whatever, probably what state of what part of the world you live in. And do you agree to the rules from the administrators, which is us? So yeah, we'd encourage everyone to do that. Now today we're working on a Gottlieb surfer. So here's the playfield to that surfer, and those of you that do follow our Facebook page would be aware that we've been working on this. Now, we've had this in here for quite a while now. While I was in the US, parts actually arrived for it. So all new playfield posts, plastics, and other bits and pieces. We've just got a couple of acorn nuts there I've just discovered we need to put on. I'll have to do that. And we've put in those new red rollover buttons, the stars, new bumper caps, new flippers. Pretty well everything on the playfield is now new, and that playfield was coated with a stuff called Lexan. Now, once again on our Facebook page there's a discussion about the Lexan, so I'm not going to go into it here. So that's looking really good now. We've done all underneath the unit, and all the mechanisms, relays and everything have been done, step unit. So yeah, it's going to look quite good. Now the owner is going to actually do the apron himself, even though it looks pretty good. He's going to do that with a 2-pack process apparently. That's the top arch, and he's going to do the apron as well. Now while we've been doing this, we do this as we normally proceed with our repairs. We've done the playfield and underneath, as we just said, and we've done the motorboard, and we did a lot of visual inspection on that, and we've now put it back in. So here it is. The board itself's been lacquered. We didn't do that. That was already done by the owner. So all those relays have been out and gone through. The score motor, now we've put a new line cord on. Now there was an interesting thing. We put a new line cord on. We've done this many times, hundreds of times. And as soon as we plugged this in, pop, it blew the fuse, the line cord fuse. Why is that so? It had us a little puzzle. We double checked our work, made sure there was no solder splashes, everything was good. And what it turned out to be, the actual line fuse is meant to be 5 amp slow blow. This had a slow blow fuse in, which we observed before turning it on, but what we really didn't do, we didn't pull that fuse out to check its rating. It was only 500 milliamps, so it blew the bejesus out of that. So just goes to show you really have to check everything. So that caught us off guard, but anyway, that's all good now. Now in the score motor itself we had some problems. Now a bit hard to get in there and see, I guess, but there's a stack there on D, 1D, which is that stack there we're looking at now, the top stack. So D is this part of the cam here. These switches here were bent at right angles, or the one in the middle was, which is crazy. Don't know how that happened, but someone's caught something in there or something, but we had to pull that all apart and fix that. A few switches out of adjustment, that's all done. That's why you go through your score motor. And I think we found one unsoldered wire on the or a wire cold solder joint that had come off on one of the relays. We checked every coil we've ohmed it out, and it all seems okay. Now the only other thing we've had to do, once again, this wasn't done by us, it was pulled apart by somebody else. Here's the chime unit. We've overhauled the chime unit, but we've had to solder wires on because all the clips were broken. So we've put these on so we can join them together, these joiners. We can't get any of those spade clips that size for some reason. I probably should have tried to remember that and get some in the USA. I guess we'll find some one day, but anyway, that will work quite effectively for us. So we've done that. Now this machine is going to have some new parts on the front door, i.e. the coin chute entrance plate. We have a brand new one of those. The door's all been highly polished. Look, you can see my feet there. Got a bit more work to do inside here. What have we got to do? Oh yeah, we've got to put new flipper buttons on. And a replay button. So we've got new flipper buttons and replay button. I think we've got a replay one anyway. The chute has all been done. Just got to put the rubber on. Yeah, so we'll put those in. And look, the guys put mirror blades inside. I mean, I guess that adds to something, but some people like, some people don't. So that's all been done. So moving on here, as we've previously said, we take the mech board out of the back box now so we can work on everything. Graham's just finishing off the second last score reel by the look of it to be done. Everything's been pulled apart, and he's just getting a bit of wet and dry, and he put a bit of WD-40 on that and see what it does. It cleans it up and takes all the grease and gump off very nicely. So that's a little tip for you we probably haven't shared before, or maybe we have, I don't recall. Right, so while we're going through the score reels there, just looking at the printed circuit board here, we have pointed this out before, but I think it's prudent to do so again. It's always a good idea when you're doing these to get your multimeter and measure the common link between here and here. Now they actually break underneath, and I'll endeavour to show you that. Now that's the wire, the common wire coming on there, and that's part of the link there to there, and they actually can break inside, so you really need to measure them all or with a meter, or make sure you've got continuity. So that's something to always remember. Now this here hasn't been cleaned yet, but we'll get the pad onto that and give it a clean. Now what we're going to show you now is the spring. Now this can be a somewhat controversial subject. A lot of people don't believe in cutting the spring. So here we have
it's
a wreck, and this is the spring that pulls the rack back and forth. Now you imagine that spring pulls backwards, forward, God knows how many times over the years the machine's old, and they do give a little bit. So we always like to cut a couple of links off that spring. Graham's got it in his hand now. I'm just going to try and get in there with a camera and show you. Wait a second. Just a minute. There we go. So you can see he's got the spring there. Now what he's going to do, he's going to put his fingernail in there, and he's got about 3 loops off that. You bend it over, get your wire cutters, snip it, being careful, like he did, he wrapped his finger around there so that it doesn't fly off and hit people in the face.
It's ready to go.
And there you go, twist it round and that's ready to go. Now that spring almost looks like it's brand new. So that's a little trick you can do. If you don't want to do it, don't. But I'm telling you, it makes a big difference. One of the bigger problems is the stacks on the switch stacks here, these, they can get too much weight on them, and that can cause a problem as well. But once they're adjusted and you're still having trouble, particularly struggling going from 9 to 0, I'll guarantee you by cutting that spring that'll fix it. Now we actually even have new springs for that, but we've never ever used one yet. So there you go. So just carrying on with this now. We've got the player unit out of the machine. We've got all the plate all cleaned up here, ready to go. The switch stacks are out. We always do that. Once again, we've done videos on this before, so we're not gonna harp on it too much. We'll let you have a look at those. We've done the FS relay here, that's just been done, and all these other relays have been out. Screw stacks all tightened, and relays all cleaned and adjusted. Jones plugs have been cleaned here. Jones plugs have been cleaned on the score reels. So, and the replay unit's been removed and cleaned. They're spanky, they're having a look at it now. So, this is all part of what we do every day. And as I said, people ask questions all the time. Why doesn't this work? Why doesn't that work? Well, if you do all this stuff, and I know it's a lot of work, but if you do it, you'll have minimal problems when you put it back together. Now, we'll be finishing this off probably a little later, and we're going to show you we'll start it up and go through the troubleshooting procedures with it and show you what else we've got to do and how we adjust it and find the fault. We've replaced a number of lamp sockets on this, I think about 25 at the moment. Like the bonus array, we changed that. Let me show you that. So what you'll also notice, the bonus array, we removed the actual bracket assembly and just screwed down light bulbs and grounded them out. That gives you assurance that you're not going to have any further trouble except replace those lamps with grounding on them, because it takes time to do. So what we also had to do on this, we had to put new drop targets in, so that all the drop target mech's been pulled apart and cleaned. We've put new kits in the pop bumpers. They really are worthwhile. And just there in the top left hand corner, we put that new red actuator bracket and arm on the kicker. I actually think that's meant to be yellow, but we didn't have a yellow one. We've done all the trip bank. You can see the nice shiny bits on it, particularly the plunger. Cleaned all the switches, and we put new flipper kit in the thing too. And they've got those yellow dot flippers in. That's what the guy wanted. We overhauled the ball kicker. So that's what we're up to so far. When we get it going, we'll turn it on and we'll have a look and see what we've got to fix on it. Okay, so we're up to the troubleshooting stage here now on Gottlieb Surfer. Now, one thing we noticed, and we didn't realise this when it was on the bench, but the score motor has actually got too much slop in it. It's going backwards. Now let's just illustrate. Graham will move. Can you see it moving back a little bit like that? Now, that's not right. You can see it fall. Now, what that does, that can change the position of the switches. We've actually went to adjust the motor brake blade, but what we discovered, it has a broken switch strengthener on it. So we're going to have to replace that. So that would have thrown some switches out and was preventing us from starting the game. So we're going to proceed and do that now. And the other thing that we noticed, that we had no back box lights when we first started it up. And after a little bit of quick troubleshooting by hooking up a wire from the 6-volt side of the transformer to the Jones plug in the back box, all the lights lit up. So that meant our problem wasn't in the back box, rather down here somewhere. So what we ended up doing, we actually had to change the fuse holder on the right. Not often you have to do the Gottlieb ones, but it was a bit dodgy. and it's quite possible that a wire was on the red, or the black and red, had a bit of a cold solder joint, but it's just as easy to change the whole thing. So that's where we're up to on this, and we're going to change that blade now, and you'll see what a difference that makes. Alright, so we did attend to that motor brake, and it was actually broken, the switch strengthener. So we've changed that out, but we still weren't happy with it. The motor was still going backwards a little bit. So on closer investigation, we discovered that the armature on the motor was not going in properly. It was sticking a little bit. Now, contrary to the fact we'd oiled it, it was still sticking. So we got a spray of some kerosene, shot it up there, and now we'll operate the motor, and you'll see it working perfectly fine now. See, it stops properly. We'll run it. What was actually happening, the motor would run 2-3 cycles after, because the armature wasn't engaging, and it was going backwards. Now it's perfectly fine. So that's a trap for young players. You've got to keep your eye out on those sort of things. So what we'll do now, we'll get onto the troubleshooting of the game and see where we're up to. Right, so now we've fixed that score motor problem. We've fixed the lights in the back box, as we mentioned. But if you have a look at player 2 on the right side, there's a few lights out. Now we're going to have to pull that lamp array out and ground it, but that's probably the last job. That's often the case with those. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Alright, so let's see what happens now. Beautiful. So it's served a ball into the shooter lane. One player's up. Let's go for another player. 2 player up. And we're on ball 1. There it is there. So let's just start rolling over some rollovers and see what happens. Yep. Gee, those pop bumpers have got some pop in them. Yep, well,
I think those are not working.
now we haven't got the spinner in place yet. We always leave them till last, because they when you've got the playfield up and down. Let's go on to the next ball and see what happens now.
Special works.
Ball 1. Player 2. Okay, so most features seem to be gliding. Oh, that's the other thing we've got to do. There's no light under there. We've got to put that in from under the playfield.
Double bonus is not working.
All right, I'm just saying double bonus may not be working, but look, let's deal with that and see how we go. Let's check the extra ball. Extra ball when lit. There it is. Lights are on. And
It's a bit dodgy. It's not making contact. It could have something.
Yeah, there's a switch there not working.
We'll see. No, it's not working.
Okay, so we've got a little bit more to do. We've got to fix the extra ball, and 1 or 2 of those rollovers aren't working.
The double bonus.
And the double bonus. So just a few things to look at. So we'll carry on with that now. All right, we've made those adjustments that we needed to do. They were all really just a couple of dirty switches. So the double bonus was a dirty switch in the trip bank on the double bonus switch, and we had trouble with the extra ball. That was the same type of thing, just a dirty switch. So everything's going now. We've started the game. We're on player 2. We'll roll over, and immediately you saw those green lights come on. Now what will happen is we roll over, and that works. And what we're going to do now is we're going to roll over this one up the top here, and we get 2 bonuses like we should. The spinner's now working. That's all fixed. And we'll drop the drop targets down. Now we've got the extra ball light as a light, so we'll go for that. And now what should happen? That's lit up, that wasn't working before. And we've got the special, so we'll roll over that. We haven't got the knocker connected, and we'll get a replay. So pretty much what we've got to do now is just test this a bit further. We do have to fix up player 2 with the lights on in it. What else have we got to do there, Spanky? I think that's pretty well it. Oh, and I think I mentioned that we weren't getting the double bonus when we rolled over here, or the add extra bonus. We're getting that now. So all in all, this machine's almost ready now to go back, and well, not to go back, but to have further testing done. Just a little bit more tidying up, as we mentioned. It does game over, so we'll drop this ball down. Counting its bonus now. We'll just move on to ball 3. Oh, we've got a light up there. We're going to have to look at those lights on the ball, I think. And we'll drop that down. Ball 4's a light. We'll fire the ball. I might add this has got yellow dot flippers in it, and I think they're just too powerful for this game, but that's got nothing to do with us. Ball 5's a light now, and we'll drop that down, and down we go. And
We've got a match.
We got a match, and it paid. So there you go. So, without further ado, thanks so much for watching, and we hope you learnt something like we do every day fixing pinball machines. And this has been another Goat Shed presentation.